There is also this from outside the realm of the hearings and the motions. It involves Bryan Kohberger well before November 13th. 2022, before that quadruple murder happened, and specifically his interactions with a woman who believes that Kohberger was spying on her electronically in her own home. You may have heard about this story a few months ago. The woman, fellow student and an acquaintance of Bryan Kohberger at Washington State University, told the police that she thought Kohberger was watching her on her home surveillance cameras that she had asked him to help install for her safety. The irony. What had happened was her home was broken into, things were moved around, nothing was taken, but she thought it was weird. Not weird enough to call the police, but weird enough to call her friend Bryan Kohberger and ask for help. All of that was just a couple of months before Bryan Kohberger is accused of murdering those 4 young people in their off-campus home near the University of Idaho. And tonight we are hearing from a trusted source inside one of the victims' families that the woman who believes Kohberger spied on her is not happy that her interaction with the mass murder suspect is not part of his prosecution. In fact, we're told that nobody in her local police department has even pursued her claims or shares her fear that her personal private images, maybe nudes, possibly could have been leaked by Bryan Kohberger. Maybe they're out there somewhere. There is some concern that those images would not only be a violation of her privacy, but possibly relevant to the quadruple murder case against Bryan Kohberger. And that is where I turn to Gigi McKelvey. She is the host of Pretty Lies and Alibis, true crime podcast, one of the best in the business. Trust me on that. Gigi, what do you make of this? That the police did not pursue, as this woman apparently is claiming, the severity of her allegations that Bryan Kohberger was spying on her.
Yeah, it's shocking, really, because you think about it. Bryan Kohberger started Washington State University in the fall of 2022. So it would show that when he arrived in Washington State, he didn't take long before he started stalking people, which we believe is what happened, with the Idaho 4 at the King Road residence. I mean, he was riding by there and things. But here's the thing. The fact that they're not even investigating this would be easy to prove through electronics if he was connecting to her password and looking at those cameras. That would be something I think beneficial for the prosecution to have on their side to just show his character to this jury eventually when it goes to trial.
So I thought about that, and then I wondered if there's a possibility, and I'm honestly spitballing here, Gigi. There's a gag order in this case. We do not know what they have, what they're doing. We don't know if maybe they've established a stalking pattern related to this other woman and that they're keeping it close to their vest potentially for prosecution. But I keep coming back to the police. Wouldn't they at least give this person the time of day to investigate her claims, fill out all the reports, make her feel comfortable or at least self-assured that perhaps, she's not being consumed. Her private images may not be consumed in the dark web somewhere.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, you think about how vulnerable she must feel knowing that he could be watching her. I just don't understand, even without the murders of the Idaho 4. I mean, this is something that the police should have been on immediately after it happened, and just for her own safety. I mean, this is on campus. This is right there in their little community. I don't understand it. I just really, there's no reasoning for not investigating that thoroughly.
I keep coming back to pattern, right? Because if there's not a pattern of behavior, you can't just sort of go reach into someone's past and throw the spaghetti at a jury. You can't just say, well, look, he stole a lollipop when he was 8. There has to be a pattern in order to bring in prior bad acts. And so if this doesn't sort of fit into any pattern in the prosecution of Bryan Kohberger, I guess I can understand part of this. That's where I want you to remind us, Gigi McKelvey, of how many times Bryan Kohberger is alleged to have stalked the home at King Road.
At least 12. And that is not accidental, because the path from where he was going to school to where the King Road residence is, it is not a direct path. These roads are narrow. You have to have a reason to go there from where he was. So just very frightening on all counts. And who knows how many potential victims there are out there of stalking by Bryan Kohberger. This is not a one-time thing with him. And all the more reason even now to investigate this woman's claims.
I keep thinking about Erin Andrews. You know, Erin Andrews talks at length about how when she was spied on, and photos were taken of her in her hotel room by some freak who was peering through her peephole. She never got over the fact that she's out there. You know, her pictures are out there, and she can never get that back. And so you mentioned it, the violation, that is real. That pain and suffering is real. It doesn't go away. Gigi, I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.